Sorry, Abdullah, I missed out recording till now. Fine. So now, all of these, okay, all of these are a lot of hard work, especially when you're creating a website grounds up. If you want to do something like, create a website grounds up, build all of these, let's say, aspects of H1, H2 tags and cross-linking and all of that, then it's a massive job. It's going to take a lot of time. You may actually waste a lot of time in learning and figuring it out and then setting it up. But even after setting it up, a lot of iterations would be required to get it right. One of the easy hacks is to go with a WordPress site. WordPress is very matured when it comes to getting the traffic and creating the website with a content focus. So go ahead and install WordPress and create content marketing strategy around WordPress. It is pretty powerful and flexible to accommodate a varied set of product offerings that you have right now. But I think you may want to do a little bit of customization after looking at it. And there are also some, let's say, themes, which are available in the market, which you can add on top of WordPress, which can customize it further. The next part of it is on the content. So content again, is a little vast topic, but then I would try and let's say restrict ourselves into 4 to 5 areas. One is content research. I mean the keyword research, where you figure out the keywords or a bunch of keywords that needs to be used to put up a particular content. Content sourcing, where you give it to writers. You may have the freelance writers who will actually write based on some guidelines that you give. Then the usage of analytics. How is it you can leverage the analytics to understand based on the keyword research and the content that's gone live, which is good, doing good, and how much extra content has to be there to fill the gap. Content repurposing is a very important topic because after 6 months of time, you may want to repurpose a topic in such a way that it becomes updated, and it also addresses some gap in terms of the missing keywords. Culling is about killing the topics, killing the articles. We'll come to that. So I have in the similar earlier screen, I have actually a bunch of screens that actually can help explaining it better. So when it comes to keyword research, I would say this is the most important aspect when it comes to content. Out of everything that we're gonna speak, if you're doing keyword research and backlinking properly, pretty much everything is clean. So what is keyword research? So let's say if I search for virtual water coolers, so this is a search where I'm searching for some of those keywords which are actually related to this. So I'm going to a tool called Ahref. We are using it very actively. So Ahref gives a bunch of keywords, and you can see which are the matching keywords by clicking on this link. You will get hundreds and thousands of keywords. But then it's about figuring out the relevant keyword which is matching your requirement. So you may have, let's say in this case, something like 50, 60,000 keywords maybe, or 20,000, 25,000 keywords, 93 keywords here. So how is that you're going to find out the keywords which are relevant to you? So that is one of the important things that you should be doing, because all the keywords are not really important for you. So there are different things that you can actually do to, let's say, figure out the right and important keywords. But keyword research tool on Ahref kind of a tool, or there are different tools. There is a tool called SEMrush. Both will serve the same purpose. You will get a bunch of data. So you'll get hundreds of rows. So by using different filters on the screen, for example, in this screen, you can actually filter using the parameters. You can say water cooler or water/cooler star. You can put so you can actually figure out the ones which are relevant. You can also see some of those metrics out here. It's a bad idea to go with keywords with high keyword difficulty. So it's a very, very balanced way of looking at it, where you go with a keyword which has got high traffic, but not really very high when it comes to the keyword difficulty. So you should pick the keywords which are low in keyword difficulty, moderate when it comes to traffic, especially when you're doing it in the early days. So, I'll just probably show something that we have been doing. So if you look at this screen, so this is the guideline document that we try and create and share with our writers. So we do something like, what is virtual water cooler? And these are the topics to be covered. But each of these are, the relevant subtopics and a primary and a secondary keyword, each of these. So there are more additional keywords to be added here. So when you give this kind of a document, you have the writer, having every insight what they want. So look at this particular stuff. For example, if you're writing something called performance appraisal, because that's one of our target segment users, you will actually create a structure for that document with the relevant topics which are going to talk about the keywords that you have in mind to cover. So all of these keywords that you find on the right hand side, are the keywords to be covered. Some of them are the H1, H2, H3 tags. So you can see here, so performance management process is supposed to be an H2 tag, and that section can have 200 words. So when you do this, the advantage is that the writer doesn't need to really worry too much about how to structure the article in the first place. Writer is very well aware of the nature of topics to be covered, the nature of headings to be given, and we just need to go ahead and publish it. Okay. Now, once we do all of these, coming to the analytics, once we do all of these, you have something like this, a bunch of pages. In our case, we have the blog itself has got something like 337 pages, and each of those pages you will list and say that, okay, what's the number of users who have come, come to each of those pages, and you will do sort of slicing and dicing in terms of which is doing good, which is doing bad, and if something is actually doing bad, if there's a drop in traffic between, let's say, the previous month and current month, you will go and try and figure out why is it dropping. So you'll try and figure out, probably the dropping is happening, the traffic is dropping because the backlinks are not sufficient enough. So you'll actually try and address that problem. Or if the traffic is dropping because there is a duplicate content in the page, or maybe the content is outdated. So that's a decision that you take to be able to do something like the repurposing of a particular content. So that's a next part of it. Every content is not evergreen, so you have to keep repurposing the content. The content becomes irrelevant, or I would say stale, after 6 months to 1 year. In some cases, it could be stale in just about a week. So based on the nature of the content, you may want to create a schedule for the repurposing. So the repurposing is one thing which is most important when it comes to keeping the content up to date to match the search intent of the user. For example, if you have a content which is pertaining to 2020, and if the search is happening for 2021 and the user is seeing 2020 in the meta tag, then very likely the click is not going to happen even if you get an impression. So then what happens, your impression to click ratio is going to go down. That is the CTR. So ideally you should keep updating the content as much as possible when it comes to, let's say, 6 months or 3 months or 1 year or whatever time. Yeah. Now culling is one of the last aspects where, like I said, Google has got very limited bandwidth apparently. It doesn't crawl all the pages. I would say it's very parsimonious. So it will be very important for you to, let's say, figure out the pages which are not performing. So consistently for 5 to 6 months time, if you see the pages are not ranking well, you should ideally kill them. So you should remove the pages, you should remove the URL, or maybe you should do the 301 redirect to a better page which is having maybe a related content. So that way you are actually telling Google that, okay, come and look at these pages which are relevant, not those pages which have actually got removed. Yeah. Here, unfortunately, we don't have an easy hack. All of these are manual job, very boring job. But I would say this is boring, but if you do it consistently for, let's say, 6 months to 1 year, it's going to get the results. But it's pretty much nothing but the hard work. The last part of it is the backlinking. Backlinking is relatively easy, but then it has to be consistent. The tough part is about doing it every day, doing it for weeks after months. There are different things that you can actually do to be able to do the backlinking. Let's say, for example, guest posting is one of them. You can use Google search operators. For example, I skipped a couple of pages here, but we can come back. So I just put up one search operator here. So by the way, what is guest blogging? So guest blogging is the process of writing article for someone. Let's say one of the reputed sites. Let's say New York Times is opening their website to allow you to write a content for them, and you write, let's say, 1,000-worded article for them. But while you write that, you also add a backlink to your website. So New York Times is getting an article free from you. You are getting a backlink to a website, which is extremely expensive. Now, how do we find the websites which are open to accept guest post? Which is one of the ways to get the backlinks. One of the things that you can do is to search using Google itself, where you can search for, let's say, the keywords like remote work, and then put in title, let's say, write for us. Or it can be any terminology. You can write it as write for us or guest blogging or any of those things. And in the URL, let's say if you have write for us, you will find a bunch of websites who are open in the space of remote work and having a page called write for us, which means they are open to you writing a content for them. Now, all you have to do is to find the websites having high DR, domain rating. I'll explain what is domain rating. Now look at all of those websites which are high on DR and write to each of them. And this process has to be done at scale. We'll come to that. But when you write to them, if they accept the content from you, they should be happy to give you a backlink as well. Okay. Another strategy that you can go and do is something called skyscraper technology. They call, but then I don't really understand why they call a skyscraper. But fundamentally, it's all about using one of the Content Explorer tools. Let's say, for example, in our case, we are using Ahref. So you can search for remote work, and you will see a bunch of websites which are writing on remote work. You can see their DR, export it from here, and slice and dice using your Excel, and then figure out whom to reach out. Reach out to all of them. Anyone having a DA of more than 70 or 60 is a worthwhile candidate to be able to reach out. So you should ask them to write to allow your content to be going live. Another tactic people use is Harrow. We have not used it much. Harrow is helping a reporter out, but I have seen a lot of people using it. So it's not something that we have done. So I would not be very authentic in telling the right and wrongs about it. But fundamentally, it's a good methodology. So that's the reason I thought I'll put it here. But it's about subscribing to one of those forums, and the emails will keep coming to you. So every day they have a bunch of topics which writers are journalists are writing. So there are different topics, and pick some of the topics which are relevant for you. Give a content for them. Maybe they ask for an interview. Give that interview. Talk about something that you know about it because you are an expert in that topic. And when they quote you, they'll also link back to your website because they are thankful to you for giving the information that you think you only have. So there are hundreds of them rolling out every day. It's sort of a marketplace. It's a content marketplace. You should go and register yourselves there so that you should be able to get some of those backlinks through that channel. All okay till now, or you want me to stop? You can feel free to stop.
It's perfect.
Okay.
Which tool do you use, like for the search results and the domain ranking? I guess it's some kind of extensions in your browser. Is it Ahref?
Yeah, so I am a very ardent fan of Ahref. There are a bunch of tools. Ahref is one which probably I'm a little addicted to, so I have not got an experience in using a couple of other tools which are famous. For example, SEMrush is one of the really good tools apparently. I've not used that. But Ahref is really good. I have got an extension which is where you see all of these. But we have got a paid plan. It's about 8 to 9K a month, but it's really worth. So you can use pretty much everything that you want. The site audit, if you want to do, you can do that. You can do site explorers to find out the competition. So it's a massive one. Maybe 5 to 6 hours of session like what we are doing right now can be organized only for Ahref because it's extremely massive. I think you should consider looking at it. The free version is not really good, but paid version is really good. Yeah, that's it, right?
Yes, thanks.
So this is the write for us page of Unremote. The way. So when somebody is searching for remote or whatever, and then put in title, you'll probably end up looking at Unremote as well. So most of the websites who are expecting the content writers to contribute will have a page like this. So in this page, we do nothing but telling them, saying that we have so and so, we expect you to write, and these are the guidelines. If you're interested, let us know. And by doing this, in our case, we are getting nothing less than 7 to 10 content contributors reaching out to us every day. So nothing less than 300 to 400 reach outs every month. Because their job is to get the backlinks, and we don't give the backlinks to all of them, but we sort of limit it. Yeah, and now one of the things which I probably missed out, or a couple of things I missed out, is that one that the backlinking is not a process that can be done easily manually. So you may want to automate it. So it's very effective when you do it at scale, and there are a couple of tools to automate, and you can also create something internally. For example, use Ahref, do an export, use one of the email marketing engine to create some templates, put a crawler software to figure out the email IDs of different websites. Bunch of emails come in. When you crawl for, let's say, 1,000, you'll get probably 20 or 30 or 50. put a email marketing engine to send out emails, automate the responses. At the end of it, in about 1 hour, 1.5 hours of work that you're doing, you may end up getting, let's say, 1 or 2 backlinks. But the point is that when you do it at scale, you may not want to deploy a person to do all of that. You may still want to have some dedicated time, but then you may not want a dedicated resource to do backlinking as such. But if the easy thing, if you ask me, it's about outsourcing. So backlinking is one thing which can be, let's say, reliably outsourced. Content and let's say the other aspects of whatever that we spoke till now, it's difficult to outsource. So it's very risky to outsource because it will be very difficult to track the performance. But backlinking can easily be outsourced. Now, initial days of you setting up the website, it's very difficult to get people to give you backlinks unless they know you well. One of the ways to do it is to pay. So initially, maybe the first 3 to 6 months time, until you get a DA of something like, let's say, 22, you may want to pay. And people charge nothing less than $100, $150 most likely for the good sites. That's about it. One thing which I missed out is about the DR. So domain rating or DR is something that you see here. Let's say here. So one of the pages, yeah. So sorry, here. Sorry, not there. Here, yeah. So you see here, each of these websites have got something called DR. So DR is the domain rating or otherwise domain reputation, I would say. It's a number which is out of, let's say, 0 to 100 range. A number that is given, which is a function of multiple things, but most importantly, the inbound links into your website. So larger the number of websites who have given backlinks to you and higher the domain authority of those backlinks, higher going to be your domain rating. Higher the domain rating of your site, high the chances that you will get ranked on the Google. So if you see here, this particular search, look at this, virtual water cooler is the search keyword. And you can see Undermote is currently ranking in the number 2 position, but the domain rating is only 32 for us because we are just about a 1-year site. Usually, DR is also a function. So like many other aspects, many other parameters, age is also one of the parameters. So longer the age, higher the likelihood of having the high DA. So this particular website is having a DA of 61 and we at 32, almost half, are competing with them. The third ranking site is 79, but you see the fourth ranking one, it's 15. So they're doing a good job, when it comes to SEO. The fifth one, 74. Sixth one, 89. So it's very less likely a new site of less than 10 or 20 or 30 or even 50 or even 60 is going to get ranked by competing with the larger websites when it comes to DA. One of the good ways to do that would be to consistently approach people for the backlinks. So I would say, to summarize, when it comes to content and backlinking and the on-page SEO, you can do on-page SEO for once. If you take WordPress, you are done for probably for a couple of years of time. Keep checking console for any errors, keep fixing them. Content, it's a daily job. You have to keep doing it on a really regular basis. Every day, 5 to 6 hours, somebody has to put the effort into that if you are serious about it. The third one, backlink. If not for 5 to 6 hours, at least 1 hour a day, you have to put in time to figure out how to get the backlinks. So that way, to summarize, content and backlink is the one that takes most of your time. 5 to 6 hours put together for both of these should be doing a good job. Now, one last thing I would like to show here before we can move on from here is that, performance review examples is one of the keywords. And we are ranking 21. We are not ranking in the first page. There are a bunch of pages which are ranking in the first page. Now the question is, how do we get ranked? So basically, we have gone live with the pages, let's say 3 months or 6 months back. So you will have a lot of pages which are actually ranking second, third, and fourth pages, which is not enough because you have to bring them to the first page to be able to get something material enough. So what you have to do is to do something like repurposing or the content repurposing. How do you do that? One of the ways to do that is to use something called content gap tool of Ahrefs. So how does it help? You put, let's say, top 1 to 3 websites on search, the ones which I've just shown right now, these pages. The first 2-3 pages I've just put on the content gap tool, and I've put our website as a fourth one to be compared, and I'll click for the keywords. You will see a bunch of keywords which are ranked in the top first page, top 10 listing by these 3 pages, but not by Undermode. So you see here, Wengage and all of those websites are ranking for some of these keywords, but we are not ranked. You may want to export this one particular sheet and see if you want to add more content which is going to bridge the gap on our page. So our page is missing out when it comes to these pages, these keywords. And that's one of the reasons why we are not ranking well for that particular keyword search that I've done.
Would it be in the same article or a separate new
Same
content?
article. So
same article.
you should not be creating a new URL. So okay, so something which is sacrosanct when it comes to, let's say, SEO is a URL. If there is something which must be unique, not even a dot or a slash, or there should not be any addition on the URL. So when you have, so that is one of the reasons why it's very important when you go live with a new site. Let's say when you are launching something right now, you should be extremely careful about the URL structure. Extremely careful. Make sure that you spend that extra 1 week if you want to spend in creating the right URL structure. And once you have the right URL structure, you are not going to change it. You're not going to change it through the life of that particular website. Now, unfortunately, if you end up changing it, what you have to do is to enable redirect, enable 301 redirect. What it means is that XYZ/ABCD of the URL is not anymore relevant, but everything which is valid for that particular URL, which is the quality of that URL, which is the reputation of that URL, needs to be passed to a new page, which is a new page that you're going to create. So if at all you create a different URL for the same content, ensure that you do this redirect. There are multiple other things which probably we don't have time to talk about it. It's something like canonical and all of that. You must define one page as canonical if you have duplicate content. So we didn't speak about duplicate content. I'm assuming that when you get the content written by the writers, you will ensure that the content is not duplicated. So ideally, you should not have a content which is available elsewhere. So because your content has to be unique to your website. So you may actually have the thoughts and insights copied from others. You may get inspired by the different topics which are out there in the internet, but you should create your own content. And that is one area you may actually want to spend money to have content writers who are quality enough. So that's one thing that you should be careful. Now, put together all of these, to summarize, this is what I think we are really running short of time. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I've taken some 20 minutes extra, I think. It happens usually when you talk about topics that are close to heart, right? So that is the problem which I am facing here. Sorry for that. So this is what the summary of what we have done. So, I was saying that SEO is for long term. So you want to do this, you be very careful about getting into it, because if you think you're expecting a result in the next 3 months time, 6 months time, so that you can get your product to the next level that you think it should reach, then SEO is not the place to go. SEO is extremely long term, extremely long. It needs a lot of patience and a lot of hard work, to be done. The easiest way to acquire traffic is, say, in my opinion, Google AdWords. The other side of the spectrum, a lot of hard work gets into the pages in the early days, and the results are going to take 6 months to 9 months to come, and that is SEO. But the awesome advantage is that all of these are free. You don't have to incur a variable cost when it comes to every extra user who is coming to screen. So like you see, we launched Undermode early Feb, and we didn't have any traffic, nothing at all. So you can see something like 138 users because of some new pages going live. For whatever reasons, we had some 200 users. So I would not even attribute all of those users as relevant users, because somehow we got them, but then they are not the relevant users when it comes to Undermode. So it may happen, but you're not going to make money out of them. But then at the end of 4 to 5, 6 months time, you start seeing some uptake. You start seeing something like daily consistent traffic of 15 to 20, peaking up to 30, 35. And from there, in our experience, we have seen something like almost like every week 7 to 8, 10% grows, and month on month nothing less than 20, 25%. And that's what you start seeing at the end of the first 6 months time. Then you can see the growth happening. The last 4 to 5 months have been good because all the effort that people have put in for the first 6 months time has started bearing fruits in the later part of the year. But then you should live long enough to, let's say, eat the fruits of those trees which you have sown in the early days. So that's pretty much the point. Cool. I think that's the last part of it. So the tools that we use, Ahref, Search Console, Analytics, WordPress, definitely you know. Rank Math is one of the tools that's there in WordPress. It'll show some of those aspects that's missing on each of those pages that you're going live. For example, let's say the keywords, primary keywords, focus, let's say the outgoing link, cross-linking, all of those things. You know, I was showing some time back. So for example, you can see it here. So if you're using Rank Math, you can see out of those 7 to 8, 10 items, what are the items that you're missing? So ideally, you should get green for all of these. And if you get green, ideally, you're going to get a score of 90 and above. And if you have a score of 90 and above, it means you have done things which are predictably feasible for someone to do within our understanding. Out of this, we probably don't know, so we leave it. Yoast is another tool which is good when it comes to redirection, all of that on the WordPress site. And there are about another 10 to 15 more smaller tools that we are using, but not really relevant for a discussion right now, so I'm skipping them. And this is what the summary of what we have seen at Unremote. Roughly around, 1,000 users is what we could see relevant once the first 6 months time, but then you see the growth after that. Cool. The last part, I think, yeah, that's the last slide. So this is one thing for those people who wants to, let's say, outsource things to others or hire somebody to do it. For the first 6 months time, I would say these are the bunch of things that you can measure. You know, when it comes to input, you can measure the number of pages going live, the coverage of the keywords, number of backlinks they are reaching out. And from the result standpoint, look at the console for the indexing coverage, health score on the website or on the page speed metrics, number of backlinks that you're getting, the growth in DR. Even without having traffic, you may see a DR growth of from 0 to something like 10, 15, 20 in the first 6 months time, if you're doing the work properly. Beyond 6 months time, there are additional things that you can actually put. You know, you can put repurposing keywords, and when it comes to results, you will start looking at the ranking. The impressions can be measured. The CTR can be measured. Definitely the traffic should be measured. That's a summary. Now we can probably spend about 10 minutes time. Maybe some questions if you have, happy to answer. After that, if time permits, we can look at a couple of websites from any of you if you think you need a feedback on any of them. And sorry for taking the extra time.
Yeah, please go.
Yeah, Shiju, you mentioned you receive a lot of inbound guest post requests, right?
Yeah.
So how do you figure out which one to take up and which one not?
So we don't take all of them. We don't even take, let's say, we don't even take 10% of them because it's a bad idea to keep giving backlinks to all of them. So what we do, we do something like not more than 4 to 5 backlinks a month. So when we get, let's say, 300 or 400, first of all, we'll ask them to go and look at the Write For Us page where they'll look at the guidelines, and then a good majority will just get drop off because if they know that, okay, they have to write 1,000-word content minimum, they'll not just be interested, they'll not come. The ones who are writing 1,000-word content, we further ask them to make it better. We will ask them to look at additional guidelines and make sure that the content is good enough to be going live on Unremote. If all of those things are actually meeting and also the site is decent when it comes to DA. So one of the key aspects here is that, Unremote may have a low DR of 34, 32, 35 right now. But the point is people are reaching out to us because they see the growth in traffic. They see a future opportunity of a DR of 70 or 80. So, which is true. Why? Because a site has to move. It's a logarithmic scale. So it'll keep moving one score after the other. So it's good idea to get a backlink from a site which is ranking at 20 or 25 right now, assuming that they have grown significantly in the last 1 year. So a lot of people will reach out to you, obviously, because you may actually continue to grow. But it's up to you to decide which one to backlink, because it's not a good idea to link to everyone. But create a very stringent guideline when it comes to writing, so that you don't have to accept all of them.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Hi, Shiju, this is Aslam.
Hi, Aslam.
From CollectSet. I had 3 questions. Number one, in the last slide, there was a word repurposing coverage.
Yeah.
Does that mean updating the content as the time goes?
Yeah.
That's exactly what you meant.
Right.
Okay. And in the second last slide, you had a few points on the growth metrics.
Yeah.
So that percentage, that number you showed, and the growth, are you talking about the number of users that Unremote got, or the number of readers that the blog got? What exactly did you mean by growth?
Yeah, so if you're talking about SEO, I think you should talk about the top of the funnel users.
Okay.
Yeah, because the product, whether it's good or not, only thing that you can control is the top of the funnel users. Okay. Now, once you have all of those users, then you figure out the opportunities of, let's say, monetization. If your product is awesome, in our case, it's not an awesome product because it's still maturing itself. It may take time, so it doesn't have a brand equity. So the CTR, the click-through ratio from, let's say, each of those funnel points might not be really great. But let's say when you remain in the market long enough time, you will start seeing the improvement. So,
right. So just following up on the same thing, have you figured out any good strategies to, okay, the person came on your blog. Now take them to, I want to make them towards the journey of a paid user, monetize that person. Have you figured out something for that as well?
Yeah. So that's little outside of SEO assets. So
yes.
I'll try and keep it, let's say, one-liner answer. So you have multiple options where, so, once you have traffic, then you can run multiple experiments. So for example, you can add, let's say, CTAs across your page. So in our case, if you see, you have multiple CTAs that you keep seeing at each of those points, which will talk about water coolers, sign up for a free trial and all of that. So all of those CTAs will help you getting the user from there to the next page where you think you're going to transact or you're going to, sign up and stuff like that. And definitely you must be using, a good analytics tool. So we use FullStory and we also use Mixpanel. And you have to run multiple A/B tests to be able to get the users convert from each and every point in the funnel.
Okay, last question. Content in-house or out-house? What would you recommend?
Out-house is a risky one when it comes to content.
In-house, so you guys have a dedicated team?
Yeah, out-house, I think you will see the results going out-house. I think if you want to outsource everything, you can do that except content. So content and analytics. So it's pretty much analytics. I would say it's your brain. So you should not outsource your brain because you have to think by using your brain. So analytics, that way it's supposed to be internal, extremely internal. It should be close to your heart. So in our case, I spend at least half an hour to 1 hour every day looking at nothing but Google Analytics and console.
Okay, great presentation, Shiju. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Vishal had a question, right? The beginning of session.
Yes. Hi, Shiju.
Hi, Vishal.
Great session.
Thank you, man.
So one question I have, let's say for us to start with some kind of an, investment on this SEO, maybe just targeting similar to what Unremote, what kind of investment in all the sense, right, effort-wise and the cost-wise, we should actually look for?
So the answer depends on who's going to do that. So let's say, typically the case with a early stage startup with 2 to 3 founders, couple of people to help you. So put together the team could be 5 to 6 people at the max. If that be the case, I think, and let's assume that you take marketing or user acquisition as one of the key things, foundation items among your team. Meaning, if one of the founders is taking care of the product and tech assets, one of you should be taking up marketing. And if you take up marketing as one of the core founder items to be a daily job, and if SEO is one of them, then I think that person is doing it as a full-time job. Then a significant cost is, negated. So you don't have to spend a lot of money if that be the case. Now, when, let's say, you do that and you spend some little extra amount on few things, for example, you have to get the content freelanced, you have to pay for them, you'll have to get some tools, you have to pay for them. So in our experience, a monthly spend of something like 30, 35, 40K is what actually we have been spending at the max for the last 1 year.
Including the tools.
Including everything. But again, that can vary depending upon the nature of speed that you go with. So for example, in our case, we used to go live with something like 50, 60 pages in a month in the early days of Unremote. Then we slowed down. Right now we do something like 1 page a day, sort of, just about 1 page a day. So that way it's significantly lesser. So we spend something like 25, 30K approximately a month right now. But then if, let's say, the person who is doing it internally, be it a founder, if you have to hire that person, then a good SEO will be expensive. Nothing less than 1.5, 2 lakhs is what I think their current salaries are.
All right.
You have covered like everything from the content. Okay, Uma, you can continue.
Sorry, you go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, shall I take the question?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you can take the question.
Yeah, sorry. This is Uma here from CloudTrack.
Hi, Uma.
I manage the content at CloudTrack. So I had one question. So for the last 1 year or 2 years, we have been producing good content, and as you said, a lot of keywords and other things. But one major challenge that I face is the leads. After doing so much, how much of leads are we going to get from the content? Because that is the challenge that we are on page one, Google and a lot of things. But I struggle to get the lead. Nothing is getting converted. So what do you have to say for that?
Yeah. What you said is right. Google SEO traffic is not a high quality traffic compared to, let's say, Google AdWords, because it's very specific. So you put a keyword on Google AdWords, you get exactly the user who is searching for that. So that way it's very specific. But SEO is not really so. But then what you may want to do is to define your target segment and create content based on that. Not really the target keyword. So if you look at it, there is a huge difference between the target keyword and target segment. So when I say target segment, you're talking about a segment of users who may actually be searching for, let's say, machine learning, product today, but they could be searching for dashboards tomorrow. So that way it could be any of those topics, but then you are targeting that segment. And once you target that segment, the user is likely to come back and then probably become a qualified lead for you. My answer is simple, that if you put the keywords targeting the segment, very highly likely you'll get the relevant traffic out of it. And the last thing, Uma, you should not be waiting for the point to reach the 10,000 users to be able to, let's say, deploy the conversion tracking. So you should ideally put up the entire CTAs and all of that, the funnels on the content pages on day one, so that even if it's 100 users coming in every month, a percentage of them is converting. That's the only way to improve it.
Yeah. Okay. Good suggestion. Thanks, Siju. Thank you.
Okay, so we were talking about content. Like we need a lot of content at the first place. Yeah. How do you get inspired? Like what to write? How to figure out the writer's block? Like the topics. Do you use any strategy for finding the topics to be written?
So topic selection is more of a business call. So you have to, again, look at the target segment. Let's say, for example, if you are selling, reports, and if the reports are mostly targeted towards, middle management employees in companies, that's pretty much and the users are, let's say, located in the US, then you should create topics which are interesting for those users. And while you create the topics, just ensure that one, the topic is having high search, the ASV, and there are tools to do that. Two, you should ensure that the topics that you pick and the keywords related to them are not very, very high when it comes to difficulty. So balance it and keep putting up content. So basically, the one word answer is that it's supposed to be target segment, the target user segment.
Yeah. We have a question in chat. How about A/B testing in SEO? Is this relevant? Can you throw some light on it?
A/B testing is less about SEO, because I assume that SEO is only about figuring out the right methodology to get the users to your website, or figuring out creating a product, creating a website, creating a page which is attractive to both the users and Google. It's only about that. So if it's limited, if the definition is limited to that, then I think A/B test probably doesn't have too much of a role to play. But A/B test, when it comes to the trial and error that we do, I'm talking about A/B test when it comes to UX. Whether the user is clicking on this link with an orange button with a black text, or blue button with white text. So it's a question about that. That A/B test doesn't have a role here. But when it comes to the trial and error that you perform when it comes to the content, let's say for example, you may actually first go with a strategy of picking one single primary keyword and putting, let's say, 1,000 worded content with 2 to 3 additional keywords. You may see that it's not working. Then you go with saying that, okay, 2 to 3 main keywords, divide the topic into 5 sections, and create a 2,000 worded content and have a spread of, let's say, 80 to 90 keywords. You may start seeing the results. You may do a hybrid of both the approach. So these kind of, let's say, a trial and error based test, you definitely do. So, but that's not the typical A/B test.
The same. One more question in the same line. For example, you already said, right? The any update you make in the, for example, any investment you do in the SEO, it is a long term. The results you see after a while, right?
Yeah.
For example, any kind of update, for example, the one which you said, A/B testing, or you are actually finding some content gap and you're fixing that content gap, and to see that. To see the performance of that as well, you need to wait for a long time. Is it like?
Very true, very, very true. So thanks for bringing it up. So one of the big problems with SEO is the fact that Google doesn't care what you think about the effort that you have put in. They care nothing about it. So it's pretty much a blind shoot in the sky. You keep shooting in the sky. Sometimes it's hitting one of those birds and you have a good meal. Sometimes you are hungry. That's it. You're right. It takes about nothing less than 1 to 2 months time, despite making changes.
Got it.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Hi. Can you explain about your content marketing strategy also?
I don't know what is content marketing strategy now. Seriously, I don't know. You have to explain that. Elaborate the question a little, please. Sorry if I'm sounding absurd, but what way you define content marketing strategy apart from what we spoke right now?
Actually, you told about this SEO thing and how you produce the content and how did you do the marketing strategy through this informative content to your users? Only through this SEO or while searching the relevant keyword in the Google user, or did you use any other platform for this content?
Got it. Okay, so let me split the answer into two. In the past, when we were doing something in the previous company, it's called iTraveler. We were doing it between 2012 and 2019. It was acquired in 2018. We spent a couple of years and moved out. So during those days, we were doing SEO for that from 2015-16. We had something like 3 million odd monthly search users. Quite aggressively it was growing. But because it was traffic into travel space, because the offering itself was a travel offering, it was important for us to do a lot of things because we were scaling also. So we had a bunch of initiatives, which is actually a convergence of SEO with, let's say, the social media, with a little bit of branding that we used to do and stuff like that. So that was the thing. But then SEO alone also can bring you transactions if you do it regularly, consistently for long enough time. In the case of Unremote, the current company that I am talking about, we are just about a year right now. We just launched 1 year back, and we didn't want to spend $1 on anything apart from SEO right now, because everything else is expensive. You don't want to spend on Google AdWords because you have to spend $1 for every user who is coming to your site. You don't want to do anything on social because Facebook doesn't want you to get users unless you are creating an extremely creative viral content or you're paying to them. Paid initiatives when it comes to branding are also super expensive and very narrow when it comes to reach. So I would say pretty much nothing apart from SEO for the last 1 year. But it would change once you scale. Let's say a couple of years into the journey, naturally you will start spreading across to different other areas when it comes to the marketing. I hope I answered. Sorry if I've gone ambiguous.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, did you started seeing the result, right? For example, you already shown that the exponential growth in the SEO side. Like, did you started seeing any conversion in the product?
Yeah. We have users from no other channel. We don't even, in fact, okay. So we used to have something like 20-25 signups a day, but then we were struggling to figure out who is the real user who wants to pay. And we also have gone through some 4 to 5 iterations on the product. So our product journey has been pretty funny. Even now, we don't know whether we are building the right product or not. We have traffic, and we have been experimenting every 3 months, 6 months, 3 months, 4 months, figure out that it's not working, then we break the product and add something. So it's been happening. But now I think for the last 3 months, 6 months, we have been doing quite okay in terms of the core product, and it's doing well. We are making money there. But otherwise, from the users that we get, roughly around 1,500 users that we have every day, we have nothing less than 20-25 people signing up. Right now on the product alone, roughly around 7,000 to 8,000 users are there. So that's happening, and all the payments, all the conversion that we have in terms of the monetization that we have is also through SEO. We don't have one of our largest client, it's Grant Thornton. They're discovered on remote through SEO.
Got it. And also, just one other question related to SEO itself. I know that in Google Play Store, ASO also ads which you put in Google Play Store also adds value using ASO. So does the similar thing happen in SEO case also? Like Google adds any value to SEO?
I'm not eligible to answer the question when it comes to Play Store or Apple Store, App Store. How the ads are linking with the natural search, I probably would not know about it. But when it comes to SEO on the Google search, at least as far as Google is concerned, both are two different departments. So you have and I think personally my experience of doing both in the earlier life, like I said, in the previous company, we used to spend something like 25 lakhs a month before we actually started doing SEO. So continuing to spend the 20-25 lakhs a month, and we were hardly making 25-30 lakhs after selling a 1.5-2 CR in revenue, which is hardly enough to take care of the marketing spend alone. So we are spending pretty much everything that we make to Google to be able to grow. That was the time when we decided to take SEO seriously. That was in 2014-15. So my experience back then, we were spending a lot of money on Google AdWords, but it was giving nothing when it comes to SEO. We had to build everything from scratch.
Okay. So in Play Store case, when ad is there, so
I don't know. I actually don't know. I have no clue about it.
So in my experience, it is like that, where ads help you increase the keyword ranking.
Okay. I have no experience in mobile app optimization, so we have not done anything till now to get organic traffic to mobile apps. But my obvious take there would be to create a web page which will bring in a lot of traffic, get them to the mobile landing page. That will be easy, very easy to do.
Yes, that I understood. Yeah.
Is there any other questions? Like, we'll take one more last and final question so that we are already 15 minutes late. Yeah.
Cool.
Any other questions? Or we can wind up.
Hello.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi. I'm Divya. So
Hi,
I have a question. You've talked about guest blogging, but have you tried influencer marketing to boost up your SEO?
I don't think influencer marketing has got any role to play when it comes to SEO. I don't think it has a direct significant impact.
Okay. So I was thinking, so an influencer who has a lot of followers, when they write something about you, they post it on their social networking sites.
Yeah.
So that way your website gets a lot more popularity, and a higher popularity means a higher domain rating. So I was wondering if you've tried.
Yeah, that works. So basically, by making an influencer write about you, write for you, and leveraging their network to get the traffic to you, unfortunately is not SEO. It's purely, let's say, social media based influencer leverage. So if you have a bunch of influencers who can write about you and then get their traffic to come to your website, it's good, but it's a spike. It's a spike that you get for that 1 week. After that, it dies off. That's a
Okay.
challenge,
So
Yeah.
could you like help me on like how to go about this?
About
I've
which one,
not yet
Divya?
tried influencer marketing, so
No, we
uh,
have not tried influencer marketing. For Undermode, we have not tried, but yeah, in the previous case, we have tried a couple of them. But then, like I said, it's a very spiking thing, So let's say what we have done in the past is that, we have, let's say, uh, a seasonal sale happening for the travel product that we were selling. So we contract with a couple of influencers, we pay them. And for almost like a week to two, they keep talking about nothing but this particular page. They'll keep tweeting, they'll keep pushing it on their Instagrams and stuff like that, and users will come, some of them will convert, and we end up paying them a commission percentage also. So that's what we have done, but not really in terms of writing a content and then getting it posted, because if you're writing a content, you should optimize it for SEO and get the evergreen SEO traffic. So the awesome thing about SEO is that you do it once, and if it's done right, you are less likely to lose the traffic forever, and it's going to grow.
yeah. So I was talking about getting influencers to write about you, and then once they write about you, they post it on their on social networking sites.
Yeah,
so,
but you don't need an influencer to write about you, because influencers are usually expensive, So you should. So in our case, we write with really average writers who are awesome when it comes to SEO. So they go by the guidelines and they create the content as per, what is Google expecting out of you, and they do nothing about it after that. So they give the content, we go live with the content. The rest is given to the Google as a responsibility to bring traffic to us, right? In the case of influencer traffic, you are leveraging the network of that influencer. That is not SEO, So you don't have to get an influencer to write for you. You can, because influencer is expensive, so you can get it written by regular.
So I don't mean getting them to write in our blogs. I mean getting them to write on, a lot of people, they have their own sites.
Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking of. Like, they write about you and then they give you a backlink.
Yeah.
So that kind of.
But that is social media marketing, So that's not SEO.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Great. So you can, if you found the stuff that we spoke was good, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer anything that you have in your mind. I'll be happy to spend time in looking at stuff that you're building. If you think my help is required, you can reach out to me. I am there in the group, the same WhatsApp group, and awesome to meet all of you. Sorry if the time was so short. I took a little extra time compared to what I thought I should have taken. That extra 10-15 minutes probably screwed up the questions and probably a little bit of site review that we planned. Sorry for that. Otherwise, thanks. Great time. Thank you, Abdul.
I guess that everything was very unstructured. Everything was in a week. So this is the output was more than expected. I didn't expect 50 plus registration, and almost 40 plus people joined today. So I hope it was useful for everyone, and we can take follow-up discussions through our WhatsApp group, Product Hunt group.
Sure, anytime. You have the number there.
And one of the very informative session which I attended in recent times.
Thanks, man.
Thanks to you.
My day done. I'll probably have a nice few weeks ahead. Thank you so much, Vishal. Great time.
Thanks, Siju.
Bye, guys. See you.
Thank you, Siju. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Bye. Thanks, Abdul.
Thanks, Shiju. Let's wind up.
Yeah, sure.
Take care. Take care, everyone.
Sure.